You know that thing that just kind of seems like it has a chokehold on you? Like, no matter what, you're just gonna keep coming back to it? Even if it's just like a slight variation, or maybe it's something almost completely different, but it has ties to whatever you're looking for, you're like, yeah, why not? It doesn't necessarily have to be like a TV show or like a game or something. It could be like a food, maybe like a series of, I don't know, dolls or something. Like, I know I have friends that are super into like Funko Pops. Like, it could literally be like anything. For me, I have a couple of those. Like, for food, it's pizza. I love pizza. I could eat it every day of my life if it wouldn't kill me. I also love cheese, so that doesn't hurt. For TV shows, I can binge watch a lot of stuff, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Parks and Rec. Like, I get these YouTube shorts and these compilation videos. I'll always watch the whole thing when it comes up. Like, that show is just a great show for me to just put on, maybe like if I need to just have it as white noise, or just something to like mindlessly watch if I'm chilling. And for games, I don't know if you guessed it by now, but it would be Souls games. I love Souls games, right? I play them all the time. Like, the last few years of Souls games. No, obviously we're gonna talk about Battlefield. So I've been playing a lot of Battlefield, and I just really wanted to talk about it because I've been excited to play it, and I want more people to play it. When people talk about how long they've played the Battlefield games, it always feels like everyone except for me has played this game since they were in the womb, basically. Well, spoiler alert, I have not played this game since the inception, like all these people seem to have. I am fairly new to the series compared to them. So I started at the tail end of Battlefield 1, and then I thought that was really good, so I got really excited for Battlefield 5. I played that a ton. And then I went to 4, right, for a little bit, just to tide me over between 5 and 2042. And then 2042 got announced, and I pre-ordered that game. So I got to play in the open beta, and I immediately refunded it and then didn't touch it until the release of 6, basically. And it was just to get like the cosmetic stuff. 2042 was rough, and it definitely left a sour taste in my mouth, right? Especially since 5 had a lot of issues regarding like balance, and definitely the content wasn't really great for 5. Like, they kind of drip feeded the content and there wasn't really that much overall. So going into 6, I was very apprehensive, you know? Like, I love the series so much, but after 2042, it's just kind of like, how do you recover from this, right? My expectations were on the floor. If they released like a playable game that was like passable, then I would be like, okay, we might be back. Because if you remember, and this, I'm not going to go into like the history of 2042, but I very distinctly remember that that game was not good for a very long time. Like, at least a year and a half after release, I remember my friends telling me, oh yeah, the game is playable now, which is an insane thing to say, like a year and a half after your game releases, because it should be playable from release, right? Not, year and a half after. But I was blown away with the beta for Battlefield 6, right? It felt like we were back, and I still was so scared, right? Because I had no hopes and expectations going to the beta, and man, seeing how like just something as small as like how well optimized it was, especially after playing something like Wilds, where I can't even get like a consistent 60, getting like 100 FPS with 0 config changes, like, oof. I cannot describe the apprehension I had for this game's release, right? And I can happily say that when 6 released, all my fears were alleviated, right? This game is a banger, and like I said earlier, I just want to share with you why I love the game so much. If you're not familiar with the Battlefield franchise, let me give you a little bit of a primer. So Battlefield is more known for its slower and methodical gameplay. Now, it's not quite on the level of a game like Rainbow Six Siege or like CSGO or CS2, I guess now. But it's still pretty slow, and that's because of the map size that the game has. Now, these big maps are meant to accommodate more classic features associated with the Battlefield game. So generally, Battlefield match will have 64 players. It really depends on the game mode, but that's kind of the one a lot of people play is Conquest. So there's going to be 64 players, and on top of 64 players, there are destructible buildings on these maps. And on top of destructible buildings, right, these maps have to accommodate, you know, tanks, jeeps, little buggies, helicopters, planes, right? All these things go into a Battlefield map. And on top of that, right, Battlefield is also really known for its like team play. Because in these like 32-man teams, you have squads of, it depends on the game. In 6 right now, it's 4 people, but it's 4-man squads that, you know, you can go and capture objectives with. And it's all these factors that kind of make Battlefield like a really unique game, right? It's slow, but it's not that slow. You know, there's vehicles you have to keep in mind, right? There's all these factors that kind of go into a game, and I think that's really special. But I think the most special way I would describe Battlefield, and I guess the thing that really makes it one of my favorite franchises, is that Battlefield is an arcade. So when I said that Battlefield is an arcade, I didn't mean that it's an arcade shooter. Arcade shooter usually refers to those games that are like super fast paced and really unrealistic. So think of games like Titanfall, Quake, you know, those like really fast moving shooters. I'm more talking about Battlefield as an arcade in the physical sense of a literal arcade. And I think that's because there are just so many things to do in an arcade, and there's so many things to do in Battlefield within the context of just one match. So Battlefield has these classes, and they have gadgets that basically have a job for them to perform. So for example, support has access to smoke grenades, they have supply crates, and they have defibrillators. So naturally, the medic's job is to run around, you know, heal people, give them ammo, smoke off choke points, revive teammates, that kind of thing. Engineer has access to explosives, but they also have the repair torch and the vehicle supply crate. So naturally, their job is to repair vehicles that are friendly and then destroy the enemy vehicles. Recon has access to things like the drone, they have a spotting binocular kind of thing, they have a like proximity sensor. So naturally their job is to sit and spawn and snipe and not really do anything. Jokes aside, it's really interesting how important these roles are, because Battlefield is the kind of game where your tertiary job, right, that's not shooting, is really important compared to like other modern shooters where you have that kind of utility. So let's say you take a game like Rainbow Six or Apex, right? You have a lot of utility there, right? Especially more so in Rainbow Six. But at the end of the day, in both games, you need to be able to shoot the people on the enemy team in order to win. Battlefield is unique because, one, there's usually so many people on your team and the other team that you can kind of have the shooting take a back seat, and you can focus more on the tertiary activity that your class has. And don't get me wrong, shooting is still important, right? If a majority of your team is just doing these tertiary tasks only and not, you know, capturing objectives or shooting the other people, you're gonna lose. So it's not like shooting is not important, but it's just that if your team isn't doing these other tasks that your class does, you're probably gonna lose, you know? If your medics aren't reviving or giving you HP and ammo, you're going to be at a disadvantage because now the enemy team just has more bodies and they can shoot you back. If your engineers aren't repairing your vehicles or destroying the enemy vehicles, you're going to be at a disadvantage because vehicles are very strong against infantry. If your snipers are actually spotting people, destroying gadgets, and killing people, you're going to be at an advantage because they're not sitting in spawn and doing nothing. So it really comes down to this balance between shooting people and then doing the kind of job that your class requires. And I think that kind of dynamic is really interesting. Something that kind of like enhances this is the squad play though. Because, you know, if you have just one person doing these things, it's impactful, but it's not, you know, super impactful, especially since you kind of are 1 out of 32. You're only roughly like 3% of the team. But if you have 4 people doing that, that's a lot more impactful, right? Suddenly, instead of this, you know, 3%, you're now bumped up to 1/8 of the team, which is 12%. And this kind of gets the friend buff here, where like it's just fun doing things with friends. But once you're like actually like really committed to doing something, you can do a lot. Like personally, me and my friends, we love to just destroy vehicles, right? Like we make their lives hell. So it's really fun having this like squad of people just going to destroy vehicles. And I do get it, right? Like obviously this kind of thing kind of has the friend buff. If you don't have friends, or you know, if you're forced to play alone and the people you're in a squad with aren't really communicating, it's obviously not as fun. But I think in and of itself, the job that you do is still fun. It just gets enhanced when you have other people doing it with you that you can communicate with. There are so many other great things I can say about the game, and things that are, I think, like universally liked about it. Like the gunplay is good, the guns feel just good to shoot in general. The sound design is great. There are tons of game modes that are also good, right? They've done a good job of adding new content, at least for now. They've addressed like balance issues. But I really wanted to just focus on like my favorite aspect of the game. And I guess I also wanted to note that like this game isn't a perfect game, right? I don't even think it's like a great game. It's just like a really fun game personally. Like the game has its share of flaws, you know. There are some maps that aren't very good, or like I'm not really a fan of, especially like in certain modes. I think that some of the bugs and exploits that existed weren't really addressed fast enough. But that being said, I think that you should still play this game, right? I think that if you know, find a group of people to play with, this is an excellent game. And I think that it definitely gets the friend buff, like I was talking about earlier, where if you play with people, it's definitely a lot more fun. So, you know, if it's ever on sale, or, you know, you just want to try it, I highly encourage like you and a couple people to try it out. Hi, post-editing me here. It's been a while. It's been a kind of crazy year. I had a bunch of videos planned, but stuff just kind of happening, and honestly, I wasn't really satisfied with like what the videos were becoming. So here I am. Hopefully, I keep going. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will respond probably. Have a good one. Bye.